The world is veiled in darkness. The wind stops, the sea is wild, and the earth begins to rot. The people wait, their only hope a prophecy. When the world is in darkness, 4 warriors will come. After a long journey, 4 young warriors arrive, each holding an orb. What's up, everybody? It's Eurupitus, and this is Let's Play Final Fantasy for the NES, and man, am I excited. So the first thing we're going to do is crank this response rate up to 6. I think that will be fast enough. What this means is that this is how fast the text in battle happens. And 6 is a good rate where you'll be able to read it, but it's fast enough where it's not cripplingly slow. So let's jump right into a new game. So this is going to be the party selection screen. There are a number of different classes, and we're going to go through all of those right now. The recommended party is Fighter, Thief, Black Belt, Red Mage, or rather the default party, but that's not what we're going to use, but we are going to use a fighter. A fighter is going to be your main tank. He can use all of the best weapons and equipment in the game. He has a really good absorb because of that, and can output really high damage. The only problem with this class is that he's very expensive because you have to buy everything in this game, including spells, and his equipment gets wildly expensive really fast. But we are going to use one of those because he's real sweet. And he's going to be named Skittle for my friend Brian, who is the strongest person I know. And I think Skittle is an appropriately tough name for a fighter. Alright, the next class we're going to pick is the Thief. Now, how the Thief is supposed to work is that he has a very high luck stat, which is supposed to affect his ability to run away from combat, and his class-specific weapons have a very high critical rate, which I believe luck is supposed to be factored into. However, luck is bugged, and it doesn't factor into either of those things. So he really gets crippled by 2 separate bugs that kind of ruin the class, and he doesn't do anything special, except for the fact that the class-specific weapons that come way later in the game are really cool, and I want to have like a character that I can put those on and show them. So we are going to use a Thief, but once again, he's just nothing special at all, so he's going to be named after me. Wait, did I put a Q in there? Whoops. Let's try that again. I can't even spell my own name. I am such a thief. There we go. And now the Black Belt we are not going to use, but I want to talk about this guy a little bit. He is a very interesting character class in that after level 9, you're best served by using him with no equipment at all. He has a bug associated with his absorb rate. And what absorb is basically your defense. It's the number that is subtracted from enemy damage to calculate damage to you. When he levels up, his absorb rate is set to his level, which, as you may imagine, at level 1 or 2 is not very good, but later in the game, when it's 20 or 30, it's insane. You can fix that early in the game by going to the armor screen, which will set it to its correct value, and you can abuse it later in the game by not visiting the armor screen when he hits something like level 27 or 28, something like that. Then he has ridiculous absorb wearing no armor at all, and his bare-fisted damage rate becomes completely absurd, like better than equipped characters, so he becomes an absolute naked killing machine later in the game. And the main pro to that is that because he's naked, you don't have to buy anything for him, so he's very cheap. But I don't think he's very interesting because of that, so we're not going to use that. So let's move on. What the Red Mage does is he can wear equipment that is somewhat equivalent to a Thief and somewhat equivalent to the Fighter, so he can use pretty good equipment, weapons, and armor. And he can also use both Black Magic and White Magic, but not at their highest levels. Like, he can't use Flare and he can't use Holy, and I do want to show those spells, so we're not going to be using a Red Mage. But the main pro for this guy is because you can mix and match the spells and the equipment, he is very, very good in the early game and just becomes slightly worse in the late game. He has slightly lower intelligence than the White Mage and the Black Mage, but intelligence also is bugged and is not factored into spell efficacy, so he can cast spells every bit as good as the White and Black Mage. which is completely crazy in the early game, but I do want to show off things like Holy and Flare, so we're not going to use this. So this is the White Mage. The White Mage is your healer. I would probably never leave home without one of these dudes. He is the only way that you can revive a fallen party member outside of town. There are no items in this game that can revive somebody who has been KO'd. And then just healing spells in general are awesome, and then he does get some damage spells as well, namely Holy and another spell called Harm, which deals damage to undead creatures and affects all enemies. So it's really, really good if you're facing specifically undead enemies. So we're going to use a White Mage. And I'm going to name this one Doc, after my good friend Dr. Nick. And finally, we come to the Black Mage. The Black Mage is obviously, if you're a longtime series fan, your damage spellcaster. Now, because of the intelligence bug, spell damage just becomes worse than melee damage later in the game. For various reasons, not the least of which is the critical hit chance bug, which we'll talk about more in depth when it becomes a little bit more relevant. But he can use a bunch of really cool damaging spells, and unlike Equipment, which the elemental strengths and weaknesses don't actually work, for example, if you're using a fire sword on an ice-type enemy, or rather like a fire-weak enemy, it doesn't do any extra damage. But spells that way do work, so ice-weak or fire-weak enemies will take more damage from ice or fire spells, so you can output lots of extra damage that way. And plus, he's just fun and looks really cool. So we're going to go ahead and take one of these guys, and I'm going to name him Will after my good friend Wilbo, who would dress like a black mage in real life if given the chance to do so. And there you have it. Let's get started. Skittle, Cherupitus, Doc, and Will. Our adventure begins. So we spawn immediately outside of town. This town is called Corneria, but we're going to head straight to the castle first. And we're going to talk to every single person in the game, because that's what you did in these times. The king is looking for the light warriors. You do not happen to be them, do you? Maybe. Depends on who's asking. Oh, the king is asking? Then yes, that's us. Oh, my sister. Well, what happened to your sister? The king is looking for the light warriors. You do not happen to be them, do you? Yep, he's got the same thing to say, so let's move on. And I think this guy will have the same thing to say as well. No, he doesn't. In sadness, the queen locked herself inside. Okay. I am Jane, Queen of Corneria. Please save my daughter, Princess Sarah. All right, well, we're the light warriors. I mean, we can do that. No problem. Let's go save her. Now, there is something here that I want to show. This block above me is an invisible person. The princess was looking for you. Now, the reason that person is invisible is because they are flagged as being inside a room. So you'll notice when I come down here, there is a person inside this room. And when I exit, that person is invisible so that they don't clip through the ceiling. And as soon as I go through the door, everyone outside becomes invisible and people inside become visible, right? To give you the effect that you're in the room. So this person over here is flagged as one of those people, but there is no door nearby enough to reveal them. So they're just invisible forever. Please save the princess. You got it. We're on the case. Garland used to be a good knight until... Until what? Until he wasn't. Okay, nothing up there. So we've got basically our first quest, which is to go rescue the princess. Pretty classic. And I'm just going to do a little bit of a loop around here. Yep, we already talked to you. And let's just check the perimeter, because why not? And while I'm doing that, I just want to say why I'm so excited to be playing this game. This game is a huge, like, mainline piece of nostalgia for me. Like, everything. The character models, the music... it's all just so good. And while I am going to be completely comprehensive, I'm going to tell you all about different enemy types, what their stats are, things like that, and all of the different bugs in this game. I love this game deeply. The king is looking for the white warriors. Yep, that's us. Let's go talk to him. We're going to head down first, because the throne room is going to be north. Reports say that Garland holds the princess in a temple to the northwest. All right. So we've got direction now. Nobody there. And so while there are a lot of bugs that make things not work the way they're supposed to, the game overall still, like, works. Light warriors, just as in Lucan's prophecy. Garland has kidnapped the princess. Please help her. Can do. I mean, look, if the light warriors can't help her, no one can. But so to someone like me who played this on NES, the bugs are pretty largely invisible. This is Corneria, the Dream City. See your face upon the clean water. How dirty. Come, wash your face. That is a super iconic line from this game, and no matter how many times you look at this, you can never wash your face. I am Arleon the Dancer. Well, you look the part. Let's check out this well. This is a well. You might think that there is something to it, but in fact, it is just an ordinary well. Fair enough, thanks, game. Warriors, revive the power of the orbs. Okay, we can do that too. But first, we gotta save that princess. Then we'll get to reviving the power of the orbs. The king is sure that someday the light warriors will come to save the princess, just as in Lucan's prophecy. Okay, a couple more people to talk to over here. Please save the princess. Don't you worry, we're on it. I promise. My home is Provoca, a beautiful port city far east of here. Okay, that's some new information as well. And I think we've talked to just about everybody, so why don't we get to the fun part, which is weapons and armor. So our fighter and thief can use rapiers, so we're going to buy each of them one. One for Skittle, one for Gerupitus. Our white mage doctor can use hammers, so we're going to give him an iron hammer. And now the black mage can use both knives and staves. Knives are a little less damaging, but more accurate, and staves are a little bit less accurate, but more damaging, and we're going to go with the knife because if you're using physical attacks with your black mage, you do want them to hit. And one thing that's important to remember is to equip them. But while we're here, let's check out the status screen. So you have a number of stats here, strength, agility, intelligence, vitality, and luck. Intelligence and luck don't work the way they're supposed to, but mostly everything else does. So your fighter's got a lot of strength, so he's going to deal a bunch of damage. Agility affects your evade rate. Vitality affects how much hit points you have. And luck and intelligence don't work. So you'll see damage and hit percent. Those are going to increase with levels and equipment. Absorb, once again, is your defense stat. Because we're not wearing anything, it is currently 0. And our evade is 53%, which seems really high, and it is. And you'll see when we put on some armor, there is going to be a trade-off there. But why don't we go ahead and equip our weapon and see what that affects. So now my damage went up to 19, my hit percent is 15, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and put the rest of our weapons on, but I just want to give a little bit of a sense of how that works. So our fighter can use chainmail, so we're going to give Skittle some chainmail. Our thief cannot use chainmail, but he can use wooden armor. And then our mages can wear cloth. All right, and let's put those on. And so once again, real quick, we've got 0 absorb, 53% evade. So let's put on our armor, and you'll notice there's a little bit of a trade-off there. That drops our evade to 38%, but brings our absorb up to 15. So basically, you'll get hit more often, but you'll take less damage. And that trade-off, generally speaking, is worth it. You could make the argument that some pieces of equipment don't grant enough more absorb to offset how much evade you're losing, but I tend to not believe that RNG is going to be on my side. So I just go with the lesser damage, because I assume I'm just going to get hit pretty much every time anyway. Let's talk to this sage. Lucan left this town to join his colleagues at Crescent Lake. Okay, I would be interested in visiting there because Lucan is the guy who gave the prophecy about us. Please save the princess, and I think we talked to you already, but why not? Okay, so let's check out the spells. So let's have Doc learn some spells. Let's talk about each of these. So Cure is your basic Cure spell. It's going to heal a small amount of HP, and that's the one we're going to buy right off the bat. But we will talk about the rest of these spells in just a second here. So Harm, once again, deals damage to all undead creatures. We don't need that right away because we do want a spell for our Black Mage. And then Fog is going to increase your Absorb. And then Ruse is going to increase your Evade. And I will throw up a little picture of how that works as well. Let's go get our Black Mage some spells. So we have Fire, Sleep, Lock, and Lit. Lock is bugged. It does not work. It always misses, so don't buy it. We're going to get a basic fire spell. Obviously, this is fire elemental damage. Lit is lightning, or electric, whatever you'd like to say, elemental damage. And Sleep in this game is actually kind of interesting in that it is a global effect. It hits every enemy. The problem with Sleep is that enemies always wake up on their next turn. It doesn't work the way Sleep does in most of the other games where they are asleep until they take a physical attack. So we're just going to go ahead and get a fire spell for our Black Mage right off the bat. And with that, let's make sure we're equipped. It's super easy to forget to equip because you go through the trouble of giving it to a specific person, and then they're just like holding it in their pockets or something. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go straight after Garland. The safe way of doing this is to get to level 3 by doing some grinding outside of town, but that's not what we're going to do. We're just going to go straight after him. So these are imps, or in the Japanese version, goblins. They have 8 hit points and are not much of a threat at all. We should pretty much be able to kill them in one shot with our fighter, thief, and a combo of attacks with our white mage and black mage. Now you'll notice that when I was attacking there, I was selecting a different monster per character. There is a reason to do that, and that reason is if you end up attacking a monster who has died, like let's say I put all 4 of them on the top one, you would end up attacking the space where they were and not actually just attacking the next monster the way that it works in later games. So you do need to be paying attention to about how much hit points an enemy has remaining to not end up wasting your attacks. No one touches my princess. Light warriors, you impertinent fools. I, Garland, will knock you all down. That is another super iconic line. I love it. So this is Garland. He used to be good until he wasn't. And we're going to get out our handy-dandy fire spell. 12 damage, not bad. He's still not down. Well, let's go again. All right. Well, we're out of magic, so... Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Come on, gang, get him. I'm gonna need a critical hit or to at least stop missing. Wow, way to go, Wilbo. And we're all gonna level up. Now, unfortunately, leveling up does not restore your health or anything like that. But interestingly, all of your characters end up having exactly the same number to get to another level. The only way that that gets off track is if one of your characters dies. And because you can't revive in the field, so you are the Light Warriors, thank you. And she's going to teleport us back to the castle. But what I was going to say is, since you can't revive in the field, that ends up making your experience points start to get different from one another. This loot has been passed down from queen to princess for 2,000 years. Garland stole it when he kidnapped me. Please accept it as my gift, it just might come in handy. All right. Thank you for saving the princess. To aid your quest, I ordered a bridge built to the continent. Go now and make the orbs shine again. So, I just want to point out that they teleport you to this room, you're facing away from them, and you really, really need to talk to the princess there. That loot is an absolutely essential item. Like, if you don't get that, and you absolutely can miss it, like nothing stops you from missing it, you will find yourself unable to finish the game, like, way later. Which is really, really funny to me, and just a, I think, great piece of what made NES games the way they are. So let's go ahead and stay at the inn. That's going to restore our spell charges and all of our health and save our game. And with that, I guess I forgot to mention how the spells work. But you'll notice beneath my spellcasters, Doc and Will, they have 3/1/0. So what those are spell charges. You do not have magic points in this game. You don't have MP. You just have a D&D concept, I think, which is spells per day. So you can just cast 3 level 1s and 1 level 2, and that's it. That's all you get. And I mentioned D&D because this game has D&D in its DNA. Like, through its blood, this game is really, really heavily D&D influenced. But we have some more money, so we can buy some more spells, but I think that's going to be all the time I've got for this episode. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.